Today I am going to present on endocrine glands, an overview of endocrine glands and their hormones. The endocrine system is one of the important regulatory systems of our body. It consists of specialized glands that produce hormones which act as chemical messengers. These hormones control and coordinate several important functions of our body, including growth, metabolism, reproduction, development, water balance, and maintenance of our internal environment. In this presentation, I'll briefly explain the endocrine system and hormones, followed by three important glands: the thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, and the pituitary gland, along with their major hormones and functions. The presentation is divided into the following major sections. First, we will understand the endocrine system and what hormones are. Then we will discuss thyroid gland and the functions of thyroid hormones. Next, we will look at the parathyroid gland and the actions of parathyroid hormone. Finally, we will discuss the pituitary gland, including the hormones secreted by the anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. So, let us begin with the basic concept of the endocrine system. The endocrine system consists of glands that produce and release hormones. One of the important characteristics of endocrine glands is that they are ductless glands. Unlike exocrine glands, which release their secretions through ducts, endocrine glands release their hormones directly into the bloodstream. Once released into the blood, these hormones are transported to specific target organs or tissues where they produce their effects. Hormones can be considered as chemical messengers of the body. They help regulate many physiological processes. For example, hormones are involved in maintaining homeostasis, which means maintaining a relatively stable internal environment in the body. They also play important roles in growth, metabolism, and reproduction. So, even though endocrine glands may be located in different parts of the body, they work together through hormones to coordinate body functions. For example, hormones from the pituitary gland can influence other endocrine glands such as the thyroid glands and the adrenal glands. Therefore, the endocrine system acts as an important communication and regulatory network within our body. Now, let us understand what hormones are. Hormones are chemical messengers synthesized by endocrine glands. Different endocrine glands produce different hormones, and each hormone has specific function. Starting with the anterior pituitary, several important hormones are secreted. These include growth hormone or GH, thyroid stimulating hormone otherwise known as TSH, adrenocorticotropic hormone otherwise known as ACTH, follicle stimulating hormone otherwise known as FSH, luteinizing hormone otherwise known as LH, and prolactin. The posterior pituitary stores and secretes two important hormones, that is, antidiuretic hormone or ADH and oxytocin. The thyroid gland produces three hormones listed, that is, thyroxine or T4, triiodothyronine or T3, and calcitonin. The parathyroid gland produces parathormone, also known as parathyroid hormone or PTH. The pancreas, specifically the islets of Langerhans, produces several hormones including insulin, glucagon, somatostatin, and pancreatic polypeptide. The adrenal gland is another important endocrine gland. The adrenal cortex produces mineralocorticoids such as aldosterone and 11-deoxycorticosterone. It also produces glucocorticoids such as cortisol and corticosterone. The adrenal cortex also produces sex hormones including androgens, progesterone, and estrogen. The adrenal medulla produces catecholamines such as adrenaline, noradrenaline, and dopamine. This table gives us an overall picture of how different endocrine glands produce different hormones and contribute to different body functions. Now, let us move on to the thyroid gland. Thyroid is an endocrine gland situated at the root of the neck on either side of the trachea. The thyroid gland is located in the anterior neck between C5 and T1 vertebrae. It consists of two lobes, and parathyroid glands are present on their posterior surfaces. It has two lobes which are connected in the middle by an isthmus. It weighs about 20 to 40 gram in adult. Thyroid is larger in females than in males. The structure and the function of thyroid gland change in different stages of the sexual cycle in females. Its function increases slightly during pregnancy and lactation and decreases during menopause. The thyroid gland is an important endocrine gland involved particularly in the regulation of metabolism and growth. The major thyroid hormones mentioned in the presentation are T4, T3, and calcitonin. Among these, T3 and T4 have major cellular metabolism effects. Thyroid hormones influence how the body uses energy, how much oxygen cells consume, and how much heat is produced. They also have important effects on growth and development. So, the thyroid gland plays a major role in maintaining normal metabolic activity and supporting normal development. Now, let us look at the major metabolic actions of thyroid hormones. The first important effect is on basal metabolic rate or BMR and thermogenesis. Thyroid hormones increase cellular metabolism, oxygen consumption, and heat production. As a result, they increase the basal metabolic rate. Next is protein metabolism. Thyroid hormone influence protein synthesis and protein turnover. They also affect carbohydrate metabolism. They increase glucose absorption and cellular uptake. They also increase glycogen breakdown and gluconeogenesis. So, thyroid hormones have an important role in how carbohydrates are utilized by the body. Coming to fat metabolism, thyroid hormones increase fat mobilization, which increases the availability of free fatty acids in the blood. They also affect plasma lipids. The presentation indicates that thyroid hormones decrease cholesterol, triglycerides, and phospholipids, partly by increasing cholesterol excretion through bile. Thyroid hormones also influence vitamin metabolism. They increase enzyme formation and therefore increase vitamin utilization. Finally, thyroid hormones have an important relationship with body weight and fat storage. An increase in thyroid hormone is associated with decreased body weight and fat storage, whereas decreased thyroid hormone can be associated with weight gain. Therefore, thyroid hormones have a very broad influence on metabolism, including carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and overall energy expenditure of the body. Thyroid hormones are not only important for metabolism, they also have important effects on growth and development. They are essential for normal growth. A deficiency can result in growth retardation. Thyroid hormones are particularly important for brain development during fetal life and early childhood. The presentation emphasizes that deficiency during these important developmental periods may cause mental retardation. Thyroid hormones also influence body temperature because they increase basal metabolic rate and cellular metabolism. They increase heat production and sweating. They also have effects on the blood. They can increase erythropoiesis, which means the production of red blood cells, and can increase blood volume. The presentation also notes that hyperthyroidism may cause polycythemia. Thyroid hormones can also affect sleep and nervous system. In hyperthyroidism, increased central nervous system stimulation can result in fatigue along with difficulty in sleep. In hypothyroidism, excessive sleepiness may occur. Therefore, overall thyroid hormones are essential for metabolism, growth, brain development, temperature regulation, and normal body functions. Next, we come to parathyroid gland. The major hormone associated with the parathyroid gland is parathyroid hormone or PTH, also called as parathormone. The primary role of PTH is closely related to the regulation of blood calcium levels. Calcium is extremely important for many body functions, so maintaining an appropriate blood calcium level is essential. Let us now look at how PTH performs this function. The primary function of parathyroid hormone is to maintain blood calcium levels. The presentation gives the normal blood calcium range as approximately 9 to 11 milligrams per deciliter. PTH acts on several organs, particularly the bone and kidney, and it also indirectly affects the gastrointestinal tract. First, let us consider the bone. PTH increases osteoclastic activity, which increases calcium resorption from bones. This makes calcium available to the bloodstream. Next, PTH acts on the kidneys. It increases calcium reabsorption in the renal tubules. This means less calcium is lost through urine. PTH also increases the formation of 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol, which is the active form of vitamin D. This active vitamin D then helps increase calcium absorption from the gastrointestinal tract. So, we can remember the overall action of PTH in a simple way. Bone releases calcium, kidney conserves calcium, and the intestine absorbs more calcium through active vitamin D. Therefore, PTH plays a central role in maintaining calcium balance in the body. Now we come to another very important endocrine gland, the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is associated with the regulation of several major endocrine functions. The presentation divides its hormones into those of the anterior pituitary glands and the posterior pituitary gland. Let us first discuss the anterior pituitary hormones. The anterior pituitary produces several important hormones. The first is human growth hormone, also known as HGH. It promotes the growth and repair of the body cells. Next is thyroid stimulating hormone or TSH. TSH stimulates the thyroid gland to release thyroid hormones, particularly thyroxine. Another hormone is adrenocorticotropic hormone or ACTH. ACTH stimulates the adrenal cortex to release cortisol. Then we have LH and FSH, which are called gonadotrophins. They regulate sexual development and reproductive functions. Another important hormone is prolactin. Prolactin stimulates milk production and its secretion increases during and after pregnancy. The presentation also includes melanocyte stimulating hormone, which is also known as MSH, which stimulates melanin production in the skin and hair. Therefore, the anterior pituitary has a broad range of functions. Its hormones regulate growth, metabolism, reproduction, and lactation. This is why the pituitary gland is often considered as an important regulatory gland of the endocrine system. Finally, let us look at the posterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary stores and secretes two important hormones, antidiuretic hormone or ADH and oxytocin. ADH, also known as vasopressin, is important for maintaining the body's water balance. It increases water reabsorption by the kidneys. So, ADH helps the body conserve water and maintain an appropriate water balance. The second hormone is oxytocin. Oxytocin stimulates uterine contractions during childbirth. It also promotes milk ejection during breastfeeding. Therefore, ADH is mainly associated with water balance, while oxytocin has important roles in childbirth and breastfeeding. To conclude, the endocrine system is an essential regulatory system of our body. Endocrine glands release hormones directly into the bloodstream. These, these hormones act as chemical messengers on their target organs and tissues. Today, we discuss the major roles of the thyroid, parathyroid, and pituitary glands. The thyroid gland is particularly important for metabolism, growth, and development, which also includes temperature regulation. The parathyroid hormones help in maintaining calcium balance. And the pituitary gland produces hormone which is involved in growth, metabolism, reproduction, lactation, water balance, and childbirth. Overall, hormones work together to maintain the body's internal balance and support normal physiological functions. Thank you everyone for your patient listening.